Welcome back to The Narrative. I'm your storyteller, Callistra Faria. Joining me on the program now is Anthony Bridgeman. He's an educator in the United States, but he's also a Grenadian. And more interestingly, one of the newest members of The Movement, a political organization being launched and headed by Peter David. The launch is scheduled for November 16 in St. George's, highly anticipated event. But Dr. Bridgeman has been very vocal on social media about his support for the movement. It's drawn him some enemies and some friends. He's joining me now to talk about why he's supporting the movement and what potential he sees for national development under the leadership of the movement, as well as the chances of the movement making any kind of wave or any kind of noise in general elections in Grenada due by 2027. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Callister, and I'm always happy to be on the narrative. I always, your questions are always in depth and really address the issues that matter at hand. And I'm proud to be back and to talk about the movement. And as you said, yes, I have taken a lot of hits with regards to the movement, and I expected that because
A lot of body blows.
yeah, 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 we are a special set of people in Grenada that if you disagree, if you state your purpose, your philosophy, your interest, once it's not in support of the current or the past, the two political parties, you're in for a whole lot. And again, I'm a grown man. I have broad shoulders, but I would love for our people to address issues. Let's disagree on issues and not let's not go into personal attacks. And too often we go into personal attacks. And I think this is the void within the two political party system in Grenada, that they have not really spoken to the members and said, hey, we are one Grenada. People are going to disagree and support different political parties. You don't have to be mean and personalize attacks on them. And most of those things are not true to begin with. But I'm happy to be here to support the movement. And it was a long process and of depth and understanding and reflection and conversation. So it's good.
And before we move on in depth as to why you have chosen to take that plunge, do you feel that the tribalism, it will always be there when you have sides in anything, politics or anything else? There'll always be people taking sides. But do you believe that the tribalism is nurtured by the political powers among the people, and do you believe that it cheapens our democracy and it cheapens our people when we cultivate that sort of verbally violent exchange on issues that should be related to national development?
Yes, I do believe it cheapens us. And I also believe that the political parties have to bear some responsibility on this. I think, again, I go back to the growth of our nation, the educating our people with regards to this. The previous administration didn't do much at all in that aspect. And the current administration is not doing much with regards to bringing us together. There needs to be dialogue. There needs to be education of our people to say that, yes, we have different political parties. We have different people who have different belief system, different philosophies. It's okay for them to voice that. You don't have to come after them in this way that we are seeing right now, the tribalism that we have right now. And it really, it's unsettling for me to because I have friends in both parties, and we disagree at times, but there's a level of respect with some of them. But what I'm seeing with others, especially the fake profiles, where people are coming under lives and saying things about people that they don't know. I mean, not saying about they don't believe in what they're saying, but the attacks, what they're doing, is undermining democracy and undermining our people. And that's one of the reasons people are scared to come out and talk about it. When I came out, people said, are you sure, man, that you're comfortable with this? They're going to come after you. I knew that. I listened to a radio station the morning that I wrote something with regards back in, I think, December or January. I listened to that radio station and I knew that person on that radio station. And I texted him and I said, I'm here. If you have questions to ask me, bring me on. I can answer your questions. And I know he was reading from a script to attack me, but I'm okay. Leadership matters a lot, and when you're a leader, you expect people to say things and to come after you. You don't bow and you don't respond to every single thing someone says. People are going to disagree, but we have to elevate our discourse, and that's why I'm a supporter of the movement, because we're bringing people together in this idea of inclusiveness, listening to people even though they disagree with you, but that coming together, I think, matters a lot.
Yeah, you don't have to say mash to every dog that barks. But,
Exactly.
sometimes, and I did a commentary a few days ago, weeks ago, where I talked about the hopeful ambition of politicians, where they promise and they come and they can they can correct the sins of the past and they can fix things, and then they get control of the wheelhouse and realize that they are bogged down by the pressures and the problems of governance and government, and still have to go back to the same old playbook. Why do you believe that there is room for a new movement? How does a new movement situate itself within the reality of what is
Mhm.
Grenadian and Caribbean politics, and offer something different as you envision and as you hope for?
Yes, and thank you for this question. And we have the situation in our politics throughout the Caribbean, and then in politics in general, that we campaign and make lots of promises. And governance and campaigning are two different things. And we need to really be open with people and honest with our people that yes, we had some lofty goals. However, as we come into office, we realize that we may not be able to do all this at the same time. So bear with us. This is where the national dialogue needs to take place, and I think this is where the NDC, failed in that respect, to have that honest conversation with us, with the nation, and said, "Hey, we made a lot of promises." As a matter of fact, one of the promises NDC made was to eradicate poverty, and I laughed when I read it at that time, because I said we will be a model for the world if we ever eradicate poverty. Lofty stuff, and I called it youthful exuberance at that time. The movement is different, because the movement is grounded in service, integrity, and transparency. Because all the dialogues,
But
all
but
the
but 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 Dr. Bridgman, let's be honest. The movement is not yet a thing, a product. It's not yet created. They're having a launch on the 16th. Those are things hoped for, a wish list. And you speak of it in such confident terms, as if it is real and it is there and it is happening. What makes you, tell me, what about the movement that
ah,
gives you the strong conviction that we can finally see a different era, and where a third party can finally offer Grenadians mature leadership that's really going to change things, that's really going to, where transformation is actually going to be more than a slogan? You sound very
and
confident
oh
for a
yeah, so
party that's not even named yet.
well, I hear what you're saying, but for me, I would not enter anything and be part of anything that I would not really give my full and confidence. And in meeting with people, in talking to others, the interest that has been generated thus far, the fundamental principles, the core philosophy, the policy piece. I'm excited about it. I can't sit here and say, "Oh man, the movement we're going to launch and this and that." No, I'm very highly interested in terms of when people see it, when people unwrap it, when people see who are the people involved, the local person, the people that were engaging them and taking care of them. That's the difference. When people see and understand that there are some core pieces here with regards to our philosophy, servant leadership, how can I not be excited about that? This is my core belief system. This is my core why. And in meeting people from since back in January, where we were having dialogue and collaborative processes about who we are and what kind of grassroots movement we want in Grenada. What are the differences between these two party system and a new movement? How can I not be so, you know, motivated and aspirational about it? Because of it's the ideas, the people, the interest in transparency, the interest in terms of Grenada deserves a good government. The two-party system that we have right now, and people always talk about that Grenada doesn't need a third party. We're not looking at it as a third party. We are looking at it as a movement, as a party, as another political party. Because there's not this level, Callistra, of the supremacy of the leader. We don't have that. If you were to look, and I can share with you as we go along, 5 differences that I can see, tell you from upfront with regards to distinction from the movement and that of the other political
Well,
parties.
I would want to get into that now because I wanted to ask you. You have been a very strong supporter of the new
Mhm.
National Party, and
Yeah.
um, you don't want me to tell people about that, do you?
No, 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 no. My
I'm
background
just
is
kidding. I'm just kidding. But you
yeah.
know, you've been just the other day, really. You've been part of the new National Party. It's a huge. Political machinery in the country, and you've walked away from that. What is it that is, what is this, what are you seeing? Is there really a new era, and this is the era for a new movement in Grenada? How does the movement position itself with the NDC in play, the NNP in play? We've seen both in action. We see where we are as a country. What's different about the movement?
Yeah, so let me take a few things that you mentioned thus far. Yes, I didn't leave the NNP. Tell people that all the time. NNP left me. I was a supporter of the NNP. As a matter of fact, I became a member, a card carrying member of the NNP. I think in 2022. Um, Grenada's politics. I've always been vocal, but not necessarily uh, um, where you call a membership had membership in any political party until
Okay, a card carrying member.
card carrying member in that piece. I always gave my support and all this kind of stuff until that time. So yes, I still have my card of the NNP because I spoke on the NNP's platform. I shared my why at that time, my belief system within the party, because I think they had done a lot for Grenada over the years. But what happened? The shift for me is that they built up to the convention back in October, November, and finalized in December. For me, as a professor of leadership, I have a passion for good, effective leadership. On the platform, the things that was said, and you're aware of it. The Bob report. I remember when Peter went on the Bob report, and he said that the prime minister, the political leader at that time, said he was not gonna put his name up for leadership again. And Peter said that I will be, if the political leader is not doing that, I will put my name up. I mean, come on, this is an organization. That's what happens in organization, effective organization. Others have the right to put it. You have a robust debate. Whoever wins, we crown them. Okay? You don't handpick people. And there was an undermining piece that I saw, that I spoke about, that I reached out to people and said, we need to put an end to this. We are eating our own. It doesn't look good. If you have issues with the person, as I always say, a great slogan that I deal with in leadership: criticize in private and praise in public, because we are one. You talk to my New York people and said, we have a party to build and an election to win again. What you guys are doing now, we would not be able to do it. And when I saw, I said to folks, I can't support this. And I really can't, because again, it will be hypocritical for me to support something like that. What I saw, man, that stuff that the political leader did in public to one of your own
But
because you want.
one would argue that listening to him, that he never viewed uh, Peter David as one of his own.
Come on now.
And he said as much when one read between the lines. He said
Come
as
on.
much in his rantings and utterances.
Yeah, come on. I know stuff. We are not dumb. Don't take us for folks who are not knowledgeable. You this if this is I know and I saw that I listened to that. This is where it's taking us for granted. So that for me, I said that I cannot support what I'm seeing currently, and that
And,
was
and,
the
and, and, and so we fast forward, the convention happens, there's a new leader, for better or for worse. So now you are with the movement, and you said you could identify at least 5 things as to why, of all the directions that you could have taken when you became unhappy with the conduct of matters within the NNP, you chose to follow Peter David and the movement. And it's not so much about Peter David, but the movement. What are some of these things about the movement that makes you want to be
yes.
under this open tent that has been offered by the David faction?
Yeah, the genesis began, I think, on December 15th. I think the 14th was the night when Peter made his speech and came out publicly and say he was not going to attend the convention. I wrote at that time with regards to the options and that he had. I met with Peter many times, and I was also asked to be part of the other group within the NNP. I'm going to be honest; I'm not going to lie about anything. To talk to see to the support of different factions. I listened to Peter. I asked him many, many questions with regards to the interests of Grenada. Not for me. I am not interested in any leadership pieces in Grenada. But I'm also interested in the people. And what I gathered, and I know in Peter over the years, was the idea of inclusivity, that having an inclusive party, the idea of decision making piece. So that's one distinction that I can draw between the movement and the other piece. NNP decision making is very centralized with a few individuals. We all know that. Okay. If you look at NDC also, decision making is also centralized, and it's a very opaque process. The movement, from what I've been involved with, is collaborative, data driven, and transparent. Over and over, the view of Peter as the leader is that I don't have to have all the answers. Okay? It's not us. We can go and let's listen to people on the street, the men on the street. That's for me is where leadership is, collective leadership, collaborative leadership. Another piece is the power philosophy. The power philosophy in NNP, oh yeah, NNP is very much party first. This is why the response we've seen on the street with regards to people who disagree or people who go against them. NDC at times, government first. We believe in country and people first. What that's from in terms of the movement, the work, the collaborative piece, the discussion, the dialogue that we have had with people. Another very big piece is culture. NNP is loyalty based, or you have to be. You have to toe the line. NDC is very personality driven. The supremacy of the leader, the prime minister, personality. I'm a strong believer in the movement, what we spoke about, performance based. We need to show the people that performance and not the personality. Personality matters a lot, and this is why, in terms of we see the prime minister make saying things in terms of about himself, and he is the one to do this and to do that with regards to getting people to Grenada. Again, the supremacy of the leader. So those are big distinction. Look at youth empowerment. The NNP piece is use it to mobilize with regards to events for the party. And another piece, Callister, that gets me in my discussion with the movement and people, the diaspora, the role of the diaspora. I live in New York. There are lots of Grenadians throughout the diaspora. And again, this was started, Peter started the diaspora desk and the movement piece with regards to diaspora. The diaspora is seen too often as remittance to Grenada and not a great relationship sit on the table. This government has a diaspora personal liaison or whatever we term it. Tell me the results of that. Okay,
I think
we
it's
need.
I think it's actually the ambassador of the diaspora or something like that. I
Yeah,
might be wrong, but as we're quickly running out of time here, Dr. Bridgman, I want us to
all
just
right.
turn a little and use the last minute or two of the segment to talk about what, as you mentioned it earlier. You know, people say there's no room for a third party, a position that some feel does a great disservice to democracy in the country. And you said, you know what, this is not a third party, this is another party. How does the movement position itself to be accepted as another party in a system where people have been indoctrinated to believe that two parties are some sort of constitutional requirement?
Yeah. And Callisto, look at our data in the last election, the number of people that didn't vote. Okay, we have about 110, 112,000 people in Grenada. In terms of the latest statistics, I think over 20 something thousand people did not vote in the last election.
I think it's about 26 or 27.
Yeah, look at the margin of victory from the NDC to the NNP. So there are a lot of folks out there that are marginalized that we need to get active in the political discourse. Look at Guyana as an example. The third party, the other party in Guyana, the one who formed the opposition right now. So any new political party in any country has a lot of work to do. So the movement has a lot of work to do in Grenada. This is not just jumping on the ground and saying, "Oh, we ready to do this." This is why we had to do the necessary work, build the infrastructure, and put things in place in order to launch next week, next Sunday. So going into communities, listening to people, not telling them what they want to hear. Too many times, our political parties around election time, you tell people what they want to hear. You give people stuff, but engaging them and listening to them. This is where grassroots matter. And Peter and others have done that, going around the country and not coming just to criticize the government, not just to criticize the opposition, the main opposition party, but to listen to people and to talk about ideas. Here are the ideas that we have in moving Grenada forward. So I think if we continue to do that, we will make a very big impact. And listen to the other side. Don't castigate people that have different views than us. Too many times in our politics, we just tell people what's going on. I listen to every political meeting, most political meeting. I shouldn't say every because sometimes I don't have the time to do it. But I walk away with disdain. Here is a golden opportunity that political parties have to educate the country, to hear the needs of the people. And all we talk about, this government doesn't do this and this government doesn't do that, and no plans for the future. The movement has plans for the future. The movement has core principles for the future that were cultivated, were created from people on the ground, that work with people, that have knowledge of their interests. So those things, I think, would help us throughout the process, being visible, being honest with people, saying that, not everything will happen now, not making big promises. Our politics is about, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Eat a food mindset. We have to change that paradigm and get people on. One of the things that draw me to people.
Both ranking political parties at the moment have said, I've heard them, a lot of those things that you are saying that the movement promises to do. When you get into the grind of government, if the movement is able to push and to win a majority of seats and forms the government, or is part of some sort of holds the balance of power and becomes part of any kind of coalition, you still have to contend with the grind of governance. A country that is dependent, a population that continues to suffer from problems of literacy, schools that are not preparing people for entrepreneurship, but for getting a job and being 8 to 4, of a bus system that shuts down at 6 o'clock in the evening, a country that, as much as we love the Grenada, is littered with broken systems, and that needs to be fixed for us to be able to achieve and attain these high-flying ambitions that are announced. How does the movement come with something different that gets over those hurdles that others have promised to get over and then found themselves falling into sin against the people within weeks of getting power?
Yeah, and Callisto, I was shaking my head in agreement with you, all the things you just said. We have to keep them honest. And I will be the first one that, because I don't put my neck out there for something that I don't believe in, and if I don't see it happening, I would speak against it. So I think we have to be honest with people and do the work. I think some of our plans with regards to the systems that are in place to hold us accountable for those things, the people need to do that. When the people see our plans with regards to structures that are in place to make sure that we are doing it, collaborating with people. So that's a piece I think that this government, this current government, the transparency piece is lacking a lot with this government. Because
and so the movement will push its people-centered democracy, I believe is the phrase. Dr. Bridgeman, my final question to you. Are you hoping to position yourself as a candidate for the movement in any of the constituencies?
I've been asked that piece a long time, even when I was supporting NNP. Callisto, no. I live in New York. I'm an American citizen. I have the best job in New York for me with regards to being a school leader and a professor, and also being a mental health therapist. I enjoy everything that I do. I am not, in terms of meeting the credentials to run for political office in Grenada, I don't have that interest. I have the interest in supporting ideas and beliefs and good people. And this is why I'm supporting the movement. I will give them the resources, my talents, my skills, the abilities. We are launching on Sunday in Grenada. Also, we are launching in Toronto on Saturday, November 22nd. We are launching in New York on Sunday, November 23rd at Nazareth Hall, and I invite people to come to support us, to listen to the ideas that we have. Let's have a dialogue. If you disagree, I welcome that. I love to hear people disagree with us. So yes, Callisto, I am not interested in running for any political office. I mean, people always, when you talk and you come out and speak about your truths, people always say he's running for office, he needs power. No, my dear, I have no interest.
Well, that's not why I asked. But you know, thank you so much for the answer, and thanks for being here on The Narrative. Enjoyable conversation as always, Anthony Bridgeman. Thank you so much, and good luck with the movement.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This is The Narrative. I'm your storyteller, Callisto Farrier. More when we come back.
That